I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
It would appear that Monsieur Peru is the culprit.
What proof do you have against him?
He hit her before yesterday evening. His Eminence Piaggi can testify to that fact.
Ah, very interesting. Anything else?
His weapon was in Elizabeth's room, which proves he was present at the scene of the crime.
I see. What else?
I found a footprint in the victim's blood. The size corresponds to a very tall man.
That's certainly suspicious.
I believe there's enough here to prove his guilt.
Very well. I'll share your conclusion with Gregory, and then I shall take care of everything from now on. Given the eminent guests and the important political issues involved, I trust you will leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
It's Volner.
What proof do you have against him?
I found out that he was in love with Elizabeth. As the feeling wasn't mutual, he could have attacked her out of spite.
Without any proof of what Adams really thought, it's a weak motive. Anything else?
He did try to squeeze information out of me about Adams.
Just as any worthy guest would do. Have you anything else?
Elizabeth and Volner had an affair right here, which came to an end. I haven't been able to determine who put an end to it, though.
What my guests do in their beds is no concern of mine. But I shall take note, as jealousy can indeed often lead to folly. Anything else?
No, I think that's enough to accuse him.
It's a bit light, but I shall speak to Gregory about it and compare your findings with other information.
I think Monsieur Napoleon is the culprit.
Why is that?
I found a pistol belonging to a French fighter on the floor of Adams' room.
Napoleon isn't the only one to have fought for France here. Peru also took part in fighting during the French Revolution. Anything else?
It's possible he had an affair with the young Elizabeth. Things may have, gotten out of hand between them and caused the attack.
Sounds a bit weak, but it could indeed be a motive. Anything else?
That's it.
I have heard you out. I shall investigate on my side, but I have sincere doubts about this accusation.
I think it's Piaggi.
What? You think it could have been Cardinal Piaggi who killed her?
His Eminence was of no help. He even gave me information that turned out to be false.
Well, Louis, that doesn't authorize you to accuse him of murder. Besides, he spent the best part of the night with Holmes and myself. He has a solid alibi.
The Cardinal is no longer a young man, and the wounds on Elizabeth's body are shallow. He's probably the assassin.
An interesting deduction, but according to that logic, a woman might also be the culprit. Anything else?
Contrary to my mother, I have little esteem for members of the church. He could very well have killed her.
Louis, I'm afraid this is simply not sufficient. This is a serious accusation. I need concrete evidence. That is why I am taking over this case as of now.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it.
Emily Hillsborough is the guilty party.
Emily? Why?
The knife found beside Elizabeth's body had the print of a slender hand on it. Without a doubt, the hand of a woman.
Ah, and there aren't many women among the guests. Anything else, Louis? Interesting. Nothing conclusive, mind you, but very interesting. Coming from you, the accusation of Emily is surprising, Louis. I shall endeavor to solve this case myself.
I have nothing tangible, but I'm certain that she is the culprit.
Louis, I'm afraid this is simply not sufficient. This is a serious accusation. I need concrete evidence. That is why I am taking over this case as of now.
I believe it was suicide.
Suicide? Louis, I hope you have solid evidence.
The knife found beside Elizabeth's body had a handprint on it, a slender hand. Without a doubt, the hand of a woman.
And Elizabeth is the only female guest? Come, Louis. Anything else?
She overdid the laudanum and the wine, probably to take away her anxiety. She could have decided she couldn't go on and acted while she was not her normal self.
Sounds a bit far-fetched to me, but it isn't without logic. Anything else?
She was covered in scars from previous acts of scarification. That proves that she was prone to harming herself. Her suicide was the culmination of this.
What you say makes sense, but it's a little weak. Haven't you anything else?
It is my conviction that she killed herself.
So she stabbed herself 9 times? Really? That's very hard to believe.
From what I've found out, I believe that my mother is the culprit. Even though I find it hard to accept.
Sarah? But why her?
I found out that there was a long history between Elizabeth and my mother. She had been her personal doctor and had tortured her throughout her childhood.
And so she could have tried to silence Elizabeth so the truth wouldn't get out and damage her reputation. Well, it's possible. Have you anything else?
The print left on the knife near the body was left by a slender hand, without a doubt the hand of a woman.
And there aren't many female guests. I see. Anything else, Louis?
I think that there's more than enough evidence here.
Indeed, it's very worrying. Everything seems to indicate that your mother is responsible for Elizabeth's murder. Given the distinguished guests and the political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
I think that Emily Hillsborough's sister is the culprit.
So, you know the truth about them. What proof do you have to support your conclusion?
The knife found beside Elizabeth's body had a handprint, from a slender hand, that is. Without a doubt, the hand of a woman.
There aren't many women among the guests. All right. Anything else, Louis? Unfortunately, now you are going to find out why this assumption doesn't hold up. The simple reason is this. Your mother shot Emma on the night you arrived.
Are you joking? My vision on the wharf. The scene. It took place as I was arriving. I don't get it.
It perhaps won't come as a surprise to you, but Emma and Emily shared the same identity in the eyes of the world. They were more than just twins. They were the same person. Two members of the Order under the same name, Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
So this is Emily's big secret. She's looking for her sister, twin sister and partner. But why hide all of this from me?
In any case, I've decided to take over the investigation from now on.
Louis, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Judging by the situation, I'm at the top of your list of suspects.
William gave you every opportunity to shift suspicion onto someone else. You have a very strange method of defending yourself, young man.
So, Louis, what would your motive be?
Well, given the abuse my mother inflicted on the young woman, I might have wanted to protect her reputation, and tried to hush it up by getting rid of the only witness.
That makes sense.
But thinking about it, it also makes your mother the ideal suspect. And since us suspecting you is not the best form of defense, do you want to try again?
Look, frankly, it's beyond me. I just don't know.
Monsieur de Richet, don't you think it would be in your interest to help us find another suspect? Let's finish this, William. I don't rightly know how we can give the benefit of the doubt to an individual who can manipulate the truth to absurdity.
Louis, unfortunately, you haven't managed to convince us. You will agree that you had the time and the motive to commit the murder. I am devastated, but I must agree with Gregory and declare you guilty.
Why don't you ask him where he was last night?
Monsieur Peru, what would his motive be? Do you have any proof?
No, not exactly, but he'd already roughed her up once.
Monsieur de Richet, you should not accuse the first person to come along without at least some proof. I'm sure you are worthier than that.
Can you think of anyone else?
Maybe Mr. Washington.
But of course! And what would his motive be?
I believe he thought Elizabeth was stillborn. Washington could have been trying to protect the secret of his vice president, Elizabeth's father.
Sorry, Louis, but it so happened that Mr. Washington spent most of the time with Duchess Hillsborough. She confirmed it.
Let's finish this, William.
Well, even if I can't believe for a single instant that my mother could have murdered someone in that manner, she might have wanted to stop Elizabeth from speaking about their mutual past. And things might have turned nasty.
It is indeed a possibility.
I would like to thank you for helping us shed light on what happened last night. To be honest, you are not the only suspect. I'm prepared to believe you were drugged. Our poor Elizabeth hid the stuff everywhere, and I could smell laudanum on you 3 yards away.
So you knew it wasn't me from the start?
We weren't sure. Louis, I am sorry, but everything points in the same direction. I only know one person on this island who might have had a big enough grudge against Elizabeth, who has no alibi, and whose behavior is, well, suspect. Not to mention dangerous.
Tell me what happened before my arrival. I think I've been patient enough.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.